What loophole did you exploit for years before someone found out? I used to live in an apartment across the road from a casino whilst at university. They released an app where if you check in, you get points that go towards free food and drinks. Because I was close enough to the casino, I could just check in without going to the casino itself. Every Saturday, I used to get a free burger, fries, and drink and watch sports in the sports bar. They eventually scrapped the app, but it was awesome considering I was a broke uni student. Story 2 was living near and attending our local university. While working full-time in an economy in the midst of a recession, I barely had enough money to pay bills, let alone eat. Where I live is very well known for its tourist industry and casinos, so I had quite a few friends who worked in it and would tell me about these massive employee luncheon cafeterias. At that time, there were no ID cards or lanyards to be scanned or checked. All you needed was to find it and be dressed appropriately to the employer's dress code. After my friend and I did a dry run on one of those trips, in order for me to find it without getting lost, I would go alone. For almost 3 years, I had lunch/dinner for free, learning the peak service times and the dead zones. Even got along with some of the cafeteria workers and custodial crews. So far, 2 posts exploiting casinos giving away free stuff. I'm a fan. Casinos are predatory enough. They deserve to give back every now and then. Story 3. Circa late 80s. You could make a long-distance collect call from a payphone and charge it to a private number. The operator would call the other number to confirm. We'd ask the operator to call the number of another payphone nearby and have a friend authorize the call. Free long distance for almost a year. Story 4. I used to work at a grocery store and we had this era of the steak discounts. Hundreds of coupons for $5 off a steak were just everywhere for some reason. I found that if I used the self-checkout and bought a steak that was less than $5 while using the coupon, the machine would give me back the difference in change. I ate dozens of free steaks and filled up my change jar nicely. Story 5. At my current apartment complex, they just changed the laundry machines, so you need to use this super awful slow app. I found out if you press start on the app and start on the machine, and then back out of the app while it's chatting with the machine will start but won't charge any money. Been washing and drying for free for a few months. An app to use laundry machines? Surely that's worse than just the ones you put coins into, right? Story 6. Local casino issued a $20 free play coupon in the newspaper with no expiration date. I talked to the newspaper delivery guy and asked him about that copy. He told me that he's got hundreds of them in the van as they were a few days old now. I got all of them, clipped out the coupons and proceeded to make $19.50 every day after work for around 500 or so days. Not quite years, but pretty damn close. The casino never printed a coupon without expiration/one per customer rules ever since. Story 7. The thing we clocked in on when I worked at Kmart would round to the closest quarter hour. So by clocking in 8 minutes early and clocking out 8 minutes after my shift, I got paid for 30 minutes rather than for the 16. By exploiting this, I was paid 2.5 hours of overtime a week. Cumulatively, during my time there, this added up to about 6.5 weeks of extra pay. I wasn't ever caught, though. Story 8. Worked out how to get the jackpot every time on a Connect 4 fruit machine in a pub I used to drink in. It would cost around £5 to £10 before you'd get into the bonus round. Then, when you did, you'd play a Connect 4 game against the machine. You place the first counter and then after the machine places the next, you mirror the machine's move. Every game ends in a draw and you win the jackpot, which was £50. The pub landlord removed the machine after around 3 months, as it was regularly empty. Basically paid for my drinking and more for 3 months. Narrator's commentary. Are all of these loopholes about gambling things? Like, I'm down, but what? Story 9. Used to work at Redacted like 7 years ago, and they used to print these receipts where if you filled out a survey, it would give you a 6-digit code which you could then exchange for a free drink. However, when you gave in the receipt with the code, we would just toss it in the garbage and then give you the free drink. So over a shift, I would just keep all the survey receipts when people didn't want them, write random numbers on them, and then keep a wallet full of free coffee. Since I already got tons of free drinks, I would give them to homeless people and explain it was good for a free coffee. Probably gave away like 100 free drinks. Story 10. Got keys to a new flat on a Friday afternoon. The place had electric, but it wasn't in my name. Went to the electric company just before closing and the lady said,
Flat 8, you say? We only have record of 7 flats on that building. Tell you what,
glances at the clock.
Come back Monday with the serial number on your meter and we'll get you all hooked up.
I never went back and enjoyed free electric for over 2 years until I moved out. Story 11. I went to a sporting goods store and they asked me for my phone number when I was paying. I was in a bad mood and didn't want to fight with the clerk, so I told them our local area code plus 555-1212, which is the old number for directory assistance. Clerk accepted it and I left. When I checked my receipt, I had a huge number of loyalty points. because apparently a ton of other people did the same thing. I called the office the next day and switched the account to my new address. A half dozen times over the next few years, I went in and got free stuff with all the points that I kept racking up as one of their most loyal customers. Story 12. Still ongoing. Thanks to a charge card, I was granted top-tier elite status with a hotel chain. I downgraded 6 years ago, but the status still remained. The hotel chain went through a merger, but since I had retained the status for over 10 years, I was given lifetime top status in the new program that was created. Story 13. My family used to go to this campground in the summer and rent a little cabin for like a week. In the main building, there was a little arcade. Mostly older games like a foosball table and an air hockey table. What most people didn't know was the air hockey table was broken. If you put quarters in, you could push the plunger to start the machine and then get them back if you did it just right. A couple of years in a row were super fun, because me and one other kid that knew would keep air hockey going for the entire time. The arcade would be filled with other kids who would often play other games while waiting for their turn at air hockey. They must have found out after a few years though, because one year when we went back, it was fixed. The arcade was also a complete ghost town, and the campground made no money off it after that. That's when I fully realized and understood the concept of a loss leader at like 13 years old. You know what? That is a good example of a loss leader. At first I wasn't buying it, but yeah, gets all these kids in the door playing stuff while waiting for the one machine that's broken that they can play for free. But they are spending at the other machines. Neat. Story 14. Used to work for the BBC. They have, as you'd expect, their entire archive digitized. I was working on some cloud stuff, so needed access to it to check some access rights. This was literally everything ever shown on the BBC ever, downloadable in a ton of video and audio formats. iPlayer is just a fraction of what was in that archive. Took them about 6 years after I left to remove my account. So 6 years free access to probably the largest TV and movie database around. Story 15. One week, the local Chick-fil-A put a coupon in the local coupon magazine flyer, which was buy one, get one free, any item on the menu. Next to that coupon, they had 50% off any menu item. I carefully checked and neither coupon mentioned cannot be combined with any other offer on it. So I ran out to the local grocery store and grabbed a stack of these flyers. Sure enough, the next week the offer was gone, but it was too late to stop me. I spent almost 2 years as a grad student living almost exclusively off of 128 count nugget platters that I would get for 25% of the cost. First half off, second free. Place went under new management and they put up a sign saying they would no longer accept those coupons. Not entirely sure if that was due solely to me or if anyone else was pulling the same thing. I had about 20 coupon pairs left when they shut it down. I feel like I've heard about people trying to do stuff like this and they just don't accept it. Like it doesn't say on the coupon that they won't accept it or anything, they just choose not to. And I think they can legally do that, I'm not sure. But yeah, I just often hear about these things not working. I'm surprised it went on for as long as it did. Story 16. Obligatory not years, but I can't believe I got away with it. My mum gave me £20 to buy a big thing of a certain brand of cat food, which normally costs around $11. Now, here's the thing. When I entered the store, I was given a coupon for £5 off that particular brand of cat food. The store was also doing £5 off of the type of cat food I entered for. I got to the till and the food was priced at $5.99. I handed over my coupon and it was scanned, so the food was 99 pence. I couldn't believe my luck because normally it says, not for use in conjunction with any other offer. But here's the real kicker. The lady behind the till gave me another coupon. So you can bet your goddamn life I went around again and left the store with £22.98 worth of cat food for £1.98, with a third coupon in my hand. The only reason I didn't keep exploiting the loophole was because I had to carry it all home on my BMX. So you got up to the till again with cat food for the same thing, and the person wasn't suspicious at all. I mean, I guess, hey, it's probably not worth fighting for, huh? But that is some cheap cat food. Story 17. Not intentional, but once I found out, I didn't stop. Years ago, I used my card to pay for Xbox Live during a period before I could pick up a manual 1-year subscription. But when I tried to remove my card details, it wouldn't let me and said I had to call Microsoft directly. Being lazy but smart, I decided to just change the security numbers that were saved, so it wouldn't process any future payments, and it never did. But, somehow, I kept getting Xbox Live. This went on for about 1.5 years before it stopped. I was never contacted about paying anything for what I used either. Story 18. Part-time retail worker for a big chain. Work gives employees a 5% discount over all purchases, increasing to 10% on store products. Gift cards are store products. So are vegetables and a lot of groceries. By spending $45 on a $50 gift card and then using said card for my shopping, I can purchase $55 in groceries for an effective 19% discount on almost all my essential shopping, and 14.5% on anything else. I have, on occasion, bought a card online on my phone while queuing at the checkout. Story 19. On the original Kindle, you could purchase a book with an expired card and Amazon would send you the book. A minute later, you'd receive a notification saying the payment didn't go through. You had to select something stating you were aware of this, and then they would take the book back. If you hit the home button, it took you out of the notification and you could continue reading the book, unaware that the payment didn't go through. I did this once a month in my junior year in high school. The summer before senior year, I couldn't do it anymore. Coincidentally, my passion for reading died around that time. Story 20. My first credit card ever when I was 18, many moons ago. I opened a bank account and they sent me a credit card. I used it for just shy of 2 years, all kinds of stuff. My first apartment was baller. Never got a bill. Bought nice clothes, systems, subscriptions, food, you name it. Never got a bill. Went to the bank one day to deposit some money and ask when my new card was coming. My old one was about to expire. They said, "What credit card? You aren't supposed to have this." They took it on the spot, but never got a bill. Tens of thousands of dollars easily, all for free. Story 21. There's an app for a local burger chain where it allows you to roll the dice to get a code for a free double patty burger upgrade. It was designed so you could only try it once per day, and it even shows the date of the roll on the code so the cashier could verify it. However, I found out that by changing the date on your phone and trying again immediately, it would just work. If you got nothing, change it again and just keep going until you get the code. Then, when you got the code, you change the date back to the current date, and the app updates the code so it looks like you rolled it today. I got free burger upgrades for years until they finally got rid of the feature altogether. I don't know if anyone else ever figured it out, but they removed it for other reasons. Story 22. My high school counselors told us we needed 2 years of a foreign language to graduate. It was common knowledge. Everyone just listened and took the classes. Everyone. I read the student handbook and it listed the graduation requirements and said nothing about foreign languages. I never took one. My friends didn't catch on until senior year when I told them. They warned that I would be in big trouble and might not get to graduate. They freaked out. One girl called me an idiot. I showed them the grad requirements available for anyone to read in the student handbook or the counselor's office. No one ever said a word. I graduated. Always read the terms and conditions, y'all. Story 23. The local newspaper, the first Sunday of every month. Early Sunday morning, like clockwork, I would drive around and buy as many as I could, sometimes all of them. I would cut them out and keep a couple in my server book as needed for each shift. Then shift after shift, anytime someone would pay cash for their tab and before the customer got up, or I'd bring back change if needed, I would walk up to the manager and ask for a comp, showing the ticket and coupon. And that extra cash went straight into my pocket. Turned $100 to $150 nights into $250 to $300 nights. Very quick and honestly, too easy. Did it for over a year and a half. Managers never caught on. I have no idea what's happening with this one. Ticket and coupon for what? The local newspaper? I'm so lost. If anyone understands this, help me out. Story 24. Eventually, we learned to go into the VIP line for rides, which nobody was ever in. When the guy stopped us and asked for our VIP tickets, we just told him a high-up employee named Rick should have called it in. After 2 seconds on the radio trying to verify, every employee just gave up and let us through. We skipped lines for years with that method, and eventually ride attendants just came to know us and let us through. It was beautiful. One day we got bold though and snuck into the studio area. Guards caught us and asked who we were with. We told them our fictional Rick told us we can be here. Well, the guards took radio verification way more serious and managed to get a real Rick on the line. We waited for Rick to show up, knowing we were busted. Rick showed up and turns out he was actually the backlot manager at the time and gave us a strange look. The security guard asked us if we were with him, and this dude said yes. He took us aside and asked us what we were doing. We told him we just loved film and the studio atmosphere. He loved that 2 young kids were interested in his job and began taking us all around the studios, allowing us to sit in on tapings of various shows and so on, giving us a free pass to come back anytime as well, and also VIP line access. This has to be one of the most dramatic fake it until you make it I've ever heard. But did OP ever make it? Shout out to Rick. Story 25. My aunt and uncle were trash collectors, both professionally and as a hobby. My mom had pulled one of her epic screw-ups again, and we ended up living with them. Most of our food came from the trash. However, Domino's had a reward system where the boxes had blue or red tabs depending on the size of pizza. Collect enough tabs and get free pizzas. Aunt and uncle collected thousands of those tabs. We ate pizza every weekend for months before the company caught on and put an end to it. I was 11 at the time, but I remember hearing that their address was banned for life from delivery. I'm pretty sure Domino's also stopped the promotion shortly thereafter. It was awesome while it lasted. Story 26. Not really for years, but I used to make tons of money on coupons driving for Pizza Hut. I lived in an area that didn't tip for crap. And on one delivery, this lady gave me a coupon after having paid and said, "Whatever takes off the price, keep it as a tip." So I started answering the phones as often as I could. This was before online ordering. I would take the customer's order, tell them the total, and hang up. Then I would apply whatever coupon I could find that fit their order and print out the ticket. It only worked when I was the closing driver because you had to remember the total you told them. But it wasn't uncommon to get $15 plus whatever they tipped for driving half a mile down the road using this method. Story 27. I used to go to this Mongolian barbecue spot at the mall that had those thinly sliced frozen sheets of meat that they let you pick yourself and they cook it for you as long as it fits in the bowl they give you. Then you choose your veggies, etc. So they used to be kind of folded into like ribbons so they would take up more room in said bowl. Well, it's stupid, but I realized if I just used the back of my hand / knuckles, I could kind of punch the folded frozen meat down, and I would pack in like a pound of meat when that wasn't what they had intended at all. But since it was in the bowl, they had to cook it. So good. Anyway, me and my ex would go like 3 times a week and just get one of those, and it would feed us pretty good for like $5. Eventually, they caught on after like a year, and one time we went, I proceeded to do the same old backhanded meat punch into my bowl. One of the workers yelled out at me to get my attention and pointed to my right at a printed paper that had a fist on it, saying, "No to fist meat," with a circle and a cross going through it. That was my legacy there, and the food was never the same when it was 99.5% noodles. Me and my ex broke up, and that was the only good thing in that old, toxic relationship. Story 28. At university, each student had a quota of around 50 pages per month you could print in the computer labs for free. After that was used up, you had to pay. However, this credit system only worked on the Mac and Windows machines. This was before everyone and their dog had their own laptops. Down the hall was a Solaris computer pool, which nobody ever used, where they didn't get this quota software to run. So the students that knew about this and were willing to deal with the not-so-user-friendly Solaris systems got to print as much as they liked for free. I'd like to imagine the school was like, look, if they want to deal with it, they can print for free. Whatever, man. Story 29. I used to drive to university for undergrad where parking on campus was like $15 a day. When you entered the lot at the automatic gate, a machine issued a parking ticket and the gate would rise to let your car in. I guess to prevent excess calls to parking security, the entry ticket would also let you out the gate for up to 10 minutes after ticket issue. After that, you had to pay the $15 for the whole day. We somehow learned that if you placed a laptop on the ground exactly where a car would be when a ticket was issued, it would trigger the gate to go up, and with it, a new entry ticket was issued. The new ticket was good for 10 minutes. If you hustled to your car, you could leave with the new ticket. Had free parking for all 4 years of undergrad. Felt good to save hundreds on parking after being gouged thousands for tuition. I will say, hate that you have to pay so much for parking at a university. Like, I get that they can't work it into the tuition because nowhere near everyone is going to drive. Fair enough. But also, it just seems so expensive. Are you not gouging people enough? I don't understand. Story 30. There was a machine at an arcade similar to Dave & Buster's called Round 1. One day I'm there with a group of friends and I go to the prize area. I see 3 kids with Funko Pop dolls stacked over their heads headed to the register. I jokingly ask what their secret was. They won't tell me, so I said I'd tell them my ticket-making secret in exchange. Mine sucked. They inform me there's a machine giving more tickets than usual. I go find it and it's one of those mobile games turned arcade machines that no one would ever play. I play it once and get 700 tickets for about 50 cents. To put it into perspective, a 3DS was 40,000 tickets. I play it for about an hour and get enough for a 3DS. We get so good at the game, we would win the jackpot every time and it would give us 6,000 tickets. It would take 15 minutes for the machine just to count it all. Long story short, my friends and I stayed all day the next day and made enough tickets to get 2 PS4s, 2 Wii U's, and 2 3DS's. It was such a lame game, no one ever bothered to play it besides us. They eventually found out later that day as they walked over to me while I was playing to observe the game. I just walked out, drove to a town over to be safe, and redeemed all my tickets. I personally cannot believe OP got away with this one. That is like some serious money that OP got in a short amount of time. Driving a town over to redeem the tickets though, that's big brain stuff, OP. The hustle for those consoles was real. Anyway, that is all the stories we have for today. Have you ever found any loopholes of your own? If you have, I'm sure you'll drop them in the comments. I'll give them a read. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one.